This screencast is going to show you how to place text files into your InDesign document and thread those text frames that should be thread together. I'll also define for you what threading means. And I'm also going to show you ways to get text onto your layout that is not placing the text but is copying and pasting. So I'm on page 1 here. I have, in my previous screencast, I have blocked some space out for the feature article to begin here on page 1. I have a shape here reserved for the article title, subtitle. I have a shape here reserved for doing something special with paragraph 1. And then I've got additional text frames for the rest of the article to continue in columns, but also to continue on page 2 along to page 3. So I'm going to zoom in to page 1 here. And placing images and text, you can use the same process that's used throughout. Doesn't matter if it's pictures or text that you're placing, you would go to the same place, which is the File and Place option, or Command D. I am going to locate my text files, my articles that I have for placing into my newsletter. Make sure that you are following your teacher's instructions on which articles are required for placement into your newsletter for Design Essentials, which ones are required, which ones are optional, which ones maybe you have to create and type yourself. I have 3 articles here that must all be used in their entirety for my students, but make sure you're following the instructions that your instructor has given you for which articles must be placed in your newsletter. So I'm going to go straight to the feature article here. This feature article is rather long, so if I scroll down in the preview window here, you'll see it's pretty lengthy. It also includes a numbered list of items, so I'll want to do some special formatting there. Of course, I have read this article before I have formatted the article so that I can see, for instance, that there are things like numbered lists that I'll need to format in a way where it looks like numbered lists. So once I have selected the correct text file, sometimes these text files are text documents, some are for Microsoft Word, some might bring in formatting that you don't want to bring in with it, some might bring in other elements. So I'm going to click the Open button, and you'll see I had a text frame that was selected when I clicked Place. And so I'm gonna hit Command Z because I did not mean to have that text frame selected when I placed my text. Instead, I wanted to go ahead and begin with where paragraph 1 should be. Now the article title and byline for the article is also coming into the file. So if I want to, I can highlight and cut away, Command X for cut, and then come up here and place that article title in the space that's meant for it. Now I haven't done any formatting yet, but now that I have text inside of this very first text frame, I can go ahead and begin threading these text frames together. To do that, all I need to do is grab my Select tool from my tool panel, and then there's a little plus symbol there at the end of this text frame that is showing me that the entire article that I have placed in this frame is not fitting in this frame. So this is also my opportunity to thread. So if I click on that little square with a red square with a red plus in the center, what it's going to do is it's going to take what text does not fit in that frame, and it's going to kind of load it into my cursor here and allow me to click on the next text frame and then continue doing that until the entire article is placed. Now, let me show you or demonstrate to you what happens when you resize this very first text frame. You'll see it impacts all of the other text frames because they're threaded together. This is what you want to happen, because if you do something like Select All or Command A, all of the text inside of these text frames, and then use your character controls along the top to change the size of the text in the text frames, it will reflow all the text, right, that is inside of these threaded text frames. Now I'm going to zoom out a bit because you're going to see even on this third text frame here, I have text that is not fitting still in this frame, and I need this article to be threaded or to continue on pages 2 and 3. So I'm going to click on the little red square with the plus symbol here with my select tool, and then I'm going to go down to page 2 here now that I've zoomed out and continue threading this article throughout pages 2 and pages 3. Now hopefully I have reserved enough space, and it looks like I have, for my article. I still have some space left to spare, which is good because I'm going to need that, especially since I want to do something special up here on page 1 for my article. And now this article has actually been placed, it's been threaded, and it's ready for me to begin formatting. I do have some other articles that need to be placed and formatted as well. Instead of going to File and to place those articles, I want to show you really fast that if you open those articles in whatever text editor these articles were created in, instead of doing a file place, you can actually do a Command A or select all, copy that content, and then go to your InDesign document and paste that content. So I'm noticing as soon as I came over here, I'm noticing I did not leave any room for an article title on this quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and leave some space, block out space for an article title while I'm at it. And so I have still that text copied into my clipboard. So if I grab this type tool and click on this first text frame and then go to Edit Paste or Command V, it will paste what I have copied into this text frame. And just like the previous article, I can begin threading this content from one text frame to the next to have it continue for this. Now, you'll notice that this is probably not going to fit. And the reason why it's not going to fit is because right now it is in a default text size of 12 points. It's also in a default typeface of Minion Pro, and it also has default leading. So I'm going to want to change all that stuff anyhow. But let me go ahead and cut the article title and byline out and paste it into this other text frame I created up here. And then I'm going to do a Command A, and then just right away I'm going to go ahead and reduce my text size for this article so that it does all fit the way I intended on this page. Again, I haven't done any formatting. This is a quiz. Right now, you'd never guess it by looking at it because it does not yet look like a quiz. And I still have formatting to do with the article title and size. I still have formatting to do with the copy. I still need it to look like a quiz, and this quiz is numbered. So I'm going to want to make some changes and edits to this content in order for it to look the way it should look. The third and final article is just a small sidebar, and I've reserved some space here in my InDesign layout for that sidebar. I'm going to go ahead and select my first frame here that I've created, go to File and Place, or as I just showed you, you can copy and paste if you'd like to. And this sidebar, super small, super tiny, but I might want to do some really fun formatting with this. I'm going to go ahead and thread it to make sure it's threaded properly. I'm going to cut the article title away from the rest of the body copy and paste it where it's going to be formatted. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a select all and reduce the copy size while I'm at it. I think this is going to be a fun little section for me to play around a lot with type size and formatting, since I have a rather large space, almost a half a page, for something as small as a sidebar. So, so that's a good way to get all your text into your document. If you go ahead and immediately change the text size to something more reasonable, like 8-point type, you'll start to see immediately how these really long articles can fit very well into what you have planned for your newsletter. So don't panic if you start threading your text frames and it seems like your feature article is lasting like 3 pages. It's just because that default type size, 12 points, is gigantic, and it's going to make it really hard for you to fit all of your text in your newsletter. So go ahead and just do a select all, change the text size, and you'll be relieved to see that everything will fit just fine.